This is an old open hearth stove that we used in the chainsaw carving workshop for a number of years. Anyway, it's been laid out in the wet for the same amount of years really, and I've decided to make a workshop stove out of it. Of course it's far too big and cumbersome for a workshop stove, so I'm going to take the chimney off. I've already cut the bolts off. And then really this needs to come off, and then I propose to cut it round there, and then this face here will be the front, so this piece will come off and that piece will go on there to make the side, and one of these, probably this one, will be the bottom. So that's obviously as clear as mud, so let's continue. Okay, so that's cut. Oh, for the joy of a plasma cutter. This is quite dusty with a 9-inch angle grinder, and these edges are sharp, of course. So that's the bit we don't want. Here's the basis of a stove. This is the piece that I cut off from the top of that other piece, so we'll have to fettle that, and that at some point will fit there. Chimney will be here. There'll be a plate across there down to about here. Then we'll arrange a series of bits of angle iron to make a door frame. I might put a grate in it, I might not. I've yet to decide. Really, with this sort of thing, it's design around the bits you've got. So it might very well be that here somewhere I might put a piece of box section all the way through from there to there, about a 3-inch piece of box section, in the bottom of which will be either a series of holes or a slot, and then we can have a damper on the side here so the air can go in there along the top of the door and then down into the fire. A bit like a clear view type stove, but of course a lot more rural. Okay, it's another day. Just to spin this round, we've got the side on. It's only just tacked together at the moment. We're in the design stage, so there's no reason to go overboard until you're very happy with what you're going to do. Now then, this is the front, obviously, and we want a chimney here, a chimney boss. So you could put it there on the top and have to cut a round hole, which, okay, you've got a plasma cutter, no worries, but we don't have a plasma cutter, and in the past they didn't exist. So what I've sort of developed over a period of time is to put it halfway. So I'm just going to draw around the inside, and you go, put it halfway. That's nonsense. But what you actually do, see I've drawn that, you can just about cut that out, or you can cut it out going across, let me just see if you can see that, across there, and across there, and then across there, and then across there, and then in line across there, all that sort of thing. Okay. But what you do then, we're talking halfway, so what you do is you cut half of the tube away, so effectively it's down there like that. Okay, and then all you do is you cut out that square there, so half of the pipe is down there, and then you just put a piece of angle iron or a bit of flat on the bottom. That way the hole's quite large and you haven't had to cut a round hole, which is difficult. That's the chimney boss, as you can see, and when we're all in place that will go there. Just tip this forward if we can see. We've cut it out and we've cut it three-sided. That'll do. I'm going to do the unprofessional thing in a minute and lift the camera up to show you all this lot. But effectively that goes there and that goes there. Now if it was me watching this film, I'd be thinking, yeah, but what about a chimney damper? So if you imagine the old-fashioned Rayburn, what they had was just a sliding plate. So what you can do is you need to wedge this up a bit before you weld it in place, and then leave a gap there, and that just slides in. Quite simple and effective. And this is what, 2mm, something like that. Right, here's the boss welded in, tacked in place, and no comments about the welding. All right, just keep them to yourself. Yeah, this is just tacked together. As you can see, if you look here, there's now a big hole through there, and it's blocked off at the bottom. Yep. Let me just move that out of the way. And the chimney damper just slides in there like that. Okay. It doesn't have to block the whole of this up. That would be a problem if it did. So it can stay square. And if you want to tune it to fit a bit better, then just cut the corners off. So that's that bit constructed. Now, just as a side issue, really, this is the piece that I cut off in there. But if you wanted to, let's say for instance, the whole of this chimney was this same size pipe, but you wanted to create a boss so that the next section would sit over there. So what you do, and I'm going to show you how to do this in a minute, is you expand this half. You get a piece of pipe, this pipe, about this long, and you cut it in half like that. And then both halves you expand to go over there. And then of course you weld it onto the next section of pipe. Like this. And of course the circumference or the length of that is less than half of the length of that. So once you put it all together, you'll have a gap of about this much, which you'll have to fill with a bit of flat. Not quite. That's a bit better. There we go. There we go. Fits like a glove. And of course, if you wanted to make something that fitted in there, then of course you do the same thing, but you'd have to remove a piece of section and you'd squash it together. You know, give it a good belt, batter it, a bit, fit it on the inside. I've done this boss, and now I'm going to do the potential baffle plate. And of course I'm doing all this lot whilst the front's not, which makes life a lot easier. So the baffle plate sits about there like that, and effectively, because you've got the air coming in here, you want the air to go into the fire. You don't want it to go straight up the chimney, so you have this baffle plate so the gases have to go round. So if we weld a piece of angle iron across there, then that can sit on the angle iron. Then if we weld a bolt just down here, what we're looking to do, let me just see if I can mark that, not really, but it's there. What you're looking to do is to be able to lift, to be able to push that up like that, drop it down onto the angle iron, and this drop forward against the bolt. So it's easy to remove, easy to replace, no fuss, no bother. And if once you've finished the stove, you find that the baffle plate's too big, dead easy to take out and change, cut a bit off, mess about with it, all those sorts of things. So it just drops in there effectively. So there's a little bit of fiddling just to get it right. Right, that's that in place. If you just look at it, that just lifts out, puts up there, drops around there. One baffle in place. Whilst we're here, I'm just thinking about the feet. I do like to make the feet out of something that is recognisable. That's a piece of spring tine off an agricultural equipment, but maybe it's a bit, you can trip over it. This bit here is a tine off a hay turner. I've got several of those, so maybe cut it short and just have it like that. I don't know, you could just use a piece of box section and just have it straight down, or a bit of angle iron, especially at the back. That would be fine, but a bit of fancy on the front might not go amiss. I'm just trying to work it out, maybe just like that. We shall see. We've moved on with this project a bit. I cut this front plate out of the rest of that steel box and basically where I'd put a hole. So I cut a square or rectangular hole, and here's the piece that came out. This steel's about, I'm guessing now, 6mm, something like that. Quite useful thickness. Anyway, so we cut the hole out, and I'm putting these pieces in as an upstand. So this sits on there like that. I've yet to decide whether I'm going to put the air in the side, or whether I'm going to put it in the door. At the moment I might very well put it in the door. So what happens is, there's another piece cut somewhere. That piece goes in there like that and gets welded in situ. And to get the height right, what I've done is I've used a piece of box section and clamped it to it so that they're all the same height. When this is completed, this is ideal for fitting a door and a door seal. I'll just grab a bit of angle iron. So here's a couple of bits of angle iron. They're not quite right, but there you go. 1.5 inch angle iron. Imagine those butt up like that. And then, so we've made a steel frame of angle iron, and then this fits in there like that. Okay, and we have a gap. It's not tight. And then Parliament hinges out here, so that when the door lifts, it lifts like that. It doesn't tip like that. It sort of lifts from this point here, so it's easier for the door seal to fit properly. We're going to cover the airtight door seals, etc., and hinges in part 2.